What's going on? Welcome to GriddyIron gang. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm all right. What we got today is we got a mock draft. I mean, we all know draft coming up, 28th of April, next Thursday. We got a little twist for y'all. We're going to do it the GriddyIron gang way. And instead of picking the players we think these franchises are going to go with, we're going to go ahead and make our own picks of what we would do if we were in this situation. So to start it off, man, keep it short and simple. Jacksonville, you're on the clock. And with that pick, last year they went 3-14. First year under Urban Meyer. He didn't do much but kick the kickers in the stretch line. So we had to get him out of here, man. Even though they did beat Indy Week 17, this team has a long way to go. They ended up signing Doug Peterson in the offseason, bringing over Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Brandon Scherf, and then tagging Cam Robinson. So all of that is to help Trevor Lawrence, their number one overall pick from last year. That on top of bringing over some defenders, one at each level, defensive line, linebacker, and a defensive back.
Yep.
So there's still a lot of needs on this team, even though they did bring over some necessary pieces. 12 picks overall, 4 in the top 70. We're going to keep it simple with this one, man. First pick overall, Aiden Hutchinson, man.
All right.
Round 1, pick 1, 6'7" edge, 260, 4'7" 36 vert. So, I mean, very explosive, very productive at Michigan as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's really, I don't know how you can really argue with this.
You can't. He's the best overall guy. I mean, that's who I'd go with, too. I mean, you can't overthink this pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't overthink the first pick. Aiden Hutchinson, that's a right when they turn the clock on, you write his name down and run to the
podium.
Yep.
We got it. Pick 2 on you.
So pick 2 with Aiden Hutchinson gone. This is a tough one for me because you look at all these mock drafts, you look at everything that the analysts are saying. Detroit obviously need a QB of the future, but I think they want to load up that defense. They brought in DJ Chark for the receiver. I think he'll pair nicely with St. Brown. Goff, he's going to give you what he's going to give you. I mean, you see him every Sunday. It's the same thing. But with the second pick,
this is a tough pick. I mean,
it's tough. And coming into this, you think you know, but you don't. And, I mean, I'm giving myself just a little bit of a minute, And there's so many ways I just can't justify for my own self to take Trayvon Walker here.
Is your philosophy team fit or is it best player available?
It's more so best player available.
Okay.
And so, with that being said, I think I'm going to roll with Ahmad Sauce Gardner. So I think he's by far the number one consensus cornerback in the draft. I think it'd be, yes, they got Jeff Okudah. He's got some injury issues, and they could potentially move on from him. And Sauce gives you a cornerstone at that position for years to come. You look at him, he never gave a touchdown up all of his years in college. His passer rating when targeted, 2019, 39.4, 2020, 29.3, and 2021, 22.6.
Jesus.
You can't get much better than that, bro.
Wow.
I mean, he's shut down all the way. He's got the swagger. He's got everything you want in the prototypical cornerback. I mean, the attitude. Allowed 14 yards on 4 targets against Alabama in the semifinal.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, you weren't full-time SEC, but when he showed up against an SEC opponent, let alone the best of the best when it comes to it, and you give up 14 yards on 4 targets, I think that speaks volumes. So, with that being said, yeah, I'm going to Ahmad Sauce Gardner. Detroit's been so bad for so long, and they got a new head coach in Dan Campbell who's doing good things with that team. And I think that's the type of coach that Sauce will thrive under. And
I agree.
And I think that's the ultimate pick that I would do if I'm the GM. I'm saying, hey, you know what? This guy is on our board as, a top 5 pick. And I think if you're going Trayvon Walker, which I've seen multiple times in mock drafts, you're solely guessing on athleticism, and I don't think that cuts in the NFL. Yeah, he might come up and be, all pro type player, but when you got a cornerback out there who puts up those numbers in college and has that mentality of, hey, I'm coming to win every single play, you got to go with what's for sure at number 2.
So pick 3, we're gonna move on to Houston. Last year was 4-13. Got rid of their coach as well, and they signed Lovie Smith this year. Got rid of their quarterback, trading Deshaun Watson to the Cleveland Browns. Last year, ranked 30 and 32nd, offensive points scored, offensive yards gained. With 2 picks in the first round at 3-13, you really can't predict where they're going to go with this one. Me personally, after making 20 moves, none of them really big, just filling out the middle of the roster, you got to go 2 potential stars here. Mm-hmm. I know you're probably not going to like this pick. But I think this guy's the most versatile player in the draft. He can play safety, cornerback, slot corner, linebacker, D-line. The 6'4" safety out of Notre Dame, Kyle Hamilton.
Okay. Yeah, I can't hate on it. I mean, I just think that, the safety position isn't at a premium as what it once was, and I think that's the way they're viewing it as well. So, but like you said, Houston, they need damn near every position. So with a bona fide star in Kyle Hamilton, which when you look at the tape, he shows up faster than what his 40 did. And I think the 40 times, like we've talked about, can be, bad first step, mechanics, whatever it may be. I think you cannot just rely solely on a 40 time for a single player, because that's not all they have in their toolbox. That's not all they have to offer. He's a ball hawk. I mean, it's hybrid. I mean, that's hard to come by. You know what I'm saying? And I just have him farther down my board. That's all I can say, really. But I can't really have an argument when it comes to Houston, because they can go many different ways. So with you picking there, they can lock up another day 1 starter at 13.
Easily. Pick 4, New York Jets. You're on the clock.
All right, with New York Jets on the clock. My first mock when we did this, I had Garrett Wilson here, and thinking long and hard about it, you can't really justify that when they have other needs. And due to the fact that I think the Jets need an edge rusher first and foremost, especially in Robert Saleh's defense. And I think that they're in love with this guy right now, from what I hear. I have to go Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon.
I thought you were going Trey Walker there.
No. 6'3", 254. I know there's questions about if he wants to play football for real, whatnot. But
that concerns me. I haven't heard that before.
But he's said in all of his interviews that that's not the case. I think there's people kind of throwing smoke out there so other people don't pick him and he kind of falls. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think that, he graded out his best year last year from PFF at 83.2, which is solid. It's not elite by any means, but his pass rush grade was 91.5 compared to his run defense grade of 76.8. So when you look at that, he's you're going to get production from a pure pass rusher standpoint.
Playing in the Pac-10 too, or Pac-12.
Yeah, and I think, he had 9 sacks, 11 QB hits, 27 hurries. Those are pretty damn good numbers when it comes to especially all that pressure you're applying.
Missing games too. 9 sacks is,
11 games only,
Yeah, but it's a solid number.
And the jump, it wasn't a significant jump in the PFF grade, but he went 78.9 in 2020 and 77.9 in 2019. So he did get better each year. Mm-hmm. I just think that he's their best bet to bolster that defense further. You brought in DJ Reed. You brought in Jordan Whitehead, and I think those guys for Saleh fit their scheme. And I think that ultimately they think that they can go back in the later rounds and probably get a corner or some sort of D-back along the lines and and bolster their defense even further, either from a depth perception or perspective. I mean, because I think here you had to go defense first, and then I think most likely you're looking at offense next.
That's fair. Defensively, they were 32nd in points given up and 32nd in yards allowed.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something you have to address immediately.
And they haven't had, I can't remember the last time they had a bona fide pass rusher for their defense, and I think in their eyes this is their best option. I mean, you look at the Jets every year consistently, and it's just they shoot.
I can't think of one either.
They shoot themselves in the feet all the time. Like, you finally got a coach, and I believe in Robert Saleh. He brings that mentality each and every day. Like, hey, we're coming to work, we're getting better, and he's got that aggressiveness nature in him. And I just think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors when it comes to Kayvon Thibodeau. I don't see. I mean, he's got like unreal first step. He's flexible and bendy. The size. I mean, he 6'3", 254. I mean.
That's a good size.
It's for edge rusher,
4'5", 40.
Take it, bro. Like, and you know what? If he doesn't come out and get you those numbers that you want the first year, he's only going to get better as he progresses. Like, and I think with the defensive-minded head coach and Robert Saleh, like that's like a perfect scenario for him to go to.
New York Giants at number 5, 4-13. Joe Judge is out. Brian Daboll in. And the team has really been injury riddled, especially Saquon and those receivers.
Yep.
So if they're going to be healthy this year, it's going to be interesting to see what this new coaching staff does. First 4 picks have been defensive players. I'm going to switch it up here. I'm going to go offensive line. Evan Neal out of Alabama, 6'7", 350. Very versatile. Has played, I think, right tackle, right guard, and left tackle in his 3 years at Alabama. So wherever you need him, just plug him in. You get to protect Daniel Jones. I think this will be the last year to go ahead and feel confident with him as their quarterback.
Yep.
So just go ahead and get him the protection he needs. You have another pick coming up here at number 7.
I think Evan Neal, yeah, it was either for me it was either him or Ike Ekwonu. But I've been hearing lately, I have been hearing lately that they have Charles Cross as possibly the number 1 O-line on the board, which kind of is interesting to me. I know he was graded out as like the overall best pass blocker in the draft. When they pair Evan Neal with Andrew Thomas, I think that is a great pairing. You solidify your tackle spots for the future, and that can only help Daniel Jones so much. And I know this might be the last year that they have Daniel Jones because they're not really, especially with a new coach, they're not totally sold on him being their franchise.
I do also like the pickup of Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
And they did get another offensive lineman in Glowinski, so they might not even go this direction, but I just think this is the way they do go.
But I do think they do go offensive tackle. I think that when you look at what you have, especially with Saquon in the backfield,
who they did get a backup for, and Matt Breida as well.
Yeah. I think they're going in a direction of obviously bringing in Matt Breida. I think that's a terrific backup for Saquon, especially style differences.
Yeah.
You need to solidify those front guys, and with Evan Neal, that gives you another cornerstone on the offense, and he's another guy with PFF. He only got better each year. 71.2 in 2019. 83.7 in 2020 and 85.8 in 2021.
I did see that too.
So
Loved it.
With a run block grade of 80.4 last year and a pass block grade of 83.6 last year, he's a very, very solid O-line, especially coming in from the SEC, let alone Alabama.
Right. Those numbers solid, but not elite at anything, but you can trust him.
On 650 pass block snaps, he only gave up 2 sacks, 5 hits, and 8 hurries. I mean, you can't ask for much better.
Yep.
So with New York Giants picking him, I can't argue with that pick at all.
Now, here's a pick we may be able to argue with. Carolina at number 6.
Man, oh man.
I hate to be you right
To
now.
me, having number 6 and be put on the spot like this is this is a freaking spot I hate to be in. And I could be here for another half hour going over this whole pick. But since we're doing it the way we want to do this and not what we think what will happen, I have to go with another offensive tackle in Charles Cross from Mississippi State.
Okay.
I think you have the opportunity to go out there and at least get Baker Mayfield since he's available. And I get the fact that the coach, Matt Rule, is on the hot seat. But you know what? You can't – even if he's on the hot seat and you're picking Kenny Pickett or whoever it may be at quarterback at 6, especially in this draft class, you're setting up the next coaching staff for failure.
Yeah.
So you solidify your O-line, which is a team need. You get the next best offensive tackle in the draft class. He graded out as the best pass blocker.
Mm-hmm.
He's 6'5", 307, only 21 years old. This guy, and he made leaps and bounds from 2019 and 2020 to 2021. 2019, 61.9 grade. 2022 or 2020, 64.4. 2021, 86.7.
Is he a one-year wonder, or did he get that much better?
I believe that he truly got that much better. 2019, he only played 3 games. Then he went to 10 in 2020, and he played a full 12 in 2021. So with
against SEC competition,
exactly,
mm-hmm.
Gave up 2 sacks on 719 pass block snaps and only 14 hurries, no hits. I think you're looking at a guy who's coming from solid competition in college. He solidifies another spot on your O-line that is a team need. You don't have to reach for a quarterback, which I think in this draft class is just stupidity. I just don't believe in any of these guys. I think Malik has the most potential out of them all. I think Desmond Ritter's the most ready, and I trust him the most. I think Kenny Pickett is just a quarterback that infuriates me from all levels because I just don't see. You're talking about. Look, I know we're talking Teddy Two Gloves, and now you're coming to Kenny Two Gloves. And he has to wear those gloves because he has tiny hands.
Little baby hands.
He has fumbling issues.
Yep.
Some people say he's the most ready to start, but I truly don't buy it. For me, it's a no-brainer when it comes to this pick. You have to go O-line, and especially when you have – look, you're not upgrading the position when you go from Kenny Pickett to Sam Darnold. You just aren't. So I give another piece to protect my quarterback that I already have in Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield that you go out and get after the draft, or it could be during the draft. I have DJ Moore. I have CMC. You guys have proven that
Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, Robbie Anderson, who is no slouch by any means. I know there's been, a rift because of Sam Darnold being there, and, he's not all that he was made out to be in the draft he came from.
Could you be in the worst situation?
It's the worst possible.
Jets to the Panthers right now.
Exactly. So give him a chance with this top-notch tackle. You have the weapons there on your offense. Give him a chance. Next year's draft class, you can wait a year to draft a quarterback.
There's going to be at least 2 or 3 good ones.
You draft a quarterback this year, and you're still set up for failure in the future. This year, you can, guess what? Grab a top-notch tackle, and even if you suck this year, you have another top 10 pick next year to try and grab that QB.
Makes a lot of sense, especially him being the best pass-blocking tackle. It makes sense, man. You got to protect whoever you're going to have this year or next year.
Yep.
But with this pick, I think it's their only pick until the 4th round.
Yeah.
So you have to hit on it.
Yeah, and I think Charles Cross gives you that though. I think he's one of the safest picks, but he's also a guy
That's the thing.
Who's
being
no slouch.
Safe pick. If you're gonna bust, you can't bust on the quarterback here.
No, you can't, and because that's the ultimate position in the NFL. They got to lead your team. You got to surround them with people who believe in them. Which, if I am the Panthers and I'm going quarterback, it ain't Kenny Pickett. If anything, you want to screw up the draft pick, go Malik Willis because he's raw. He's got accuracy issues, but he has the most potential out of all these quarterbacks.
You think his ceiling's higher than Ritter?
I do. I think Ritter is a very safe bet at quarterback because in my eyes, he is very ready to compete at this level. He's impressing teams in the interviews. And I think he has the overall makeup to ultimately be the best quarterback in this class. But if Malik unlocks his potential, which I think he can, he would by far be the best quarterback in this class.
Moving on. Giants second pick in the first round at number 7. 5 in the top 85. 9 picks total. They're looking to trade Tony, one of their wide receivers, so another reason why I think they're going to go wide receiver here. Last year, 31st in points and 31st in yards gained. So after going to defense with number 5, number 7, I'm probably going to end up going Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of Ohio State. I know, I felt the same way.
Surprised me.
Surprised me as well. I was thinking about it the whole time.
That's really, I don't.
But 6 foot, 183, ran a 4.38, so he'll be able to open up the field a little bit.
Wow.
Shepard hasn't been healthy. They just lost Ingram. They're going to try and trade Tony. They're going to have to, if we're talking about getting him weapons and protection and everything we need to for Daniel Jones, to see if he's going to be the guy going forward.
Wow.
I think you have to go receiver here.
Wow, that's interesting. Wow, I didn't see that one coming at all.
I didn't either.
I'm lost for words, kind of.
I thought about it the whole time.
So I think in my eyes, I think they, after they go O-line, they just gave, what was it, last offseason, Kenny Golladay a nice contract.
That's fine.
Which
I like Golladay.
Which I do like him. He had an off year last year, I think. And I think he was injured at some point as well. Sterling, very solid player when he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I like him a lot, and he just needs to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney, I wouldn't give up on him just yet. I think
I wouldn't either.
He's a very solid receiver, and he showed it when all those injuries happened during the Dallas game, and he showed out.
Mm-hmm.
So in my eyes, I would not look to move him per se. I'd look to keep that core intact. You got Saquon, you got Matt Breida. Shore up that offensive line with Evan Neal, and then at 7 for me, I would have probably went Derek Stingley, bro. Like, give Wink Martindale another piece in that defense, and especially because I think they're going to move on from James Bradbury.
That makes a lot of sense for that reason.
So you give him a young guy and who's capable of being a star in the NFL in Stingley, and I think Martindale is going to do great things with that defense if you give him the right pieces.
The thing I don't like about Stingley, man, in 19, the year they won the championship, he had a great passer rating. I think it was in the 50s. Last year, it was 128. I mean, he would change his angles to avoid tackles. He wouldn't go as hard to avoid injury. I just don't like that kind of stuff. So for me, yeah, he's talented. He could be the best corner in the draft, although we both think it's Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
He has the potential to be that. I just don't like that attitude stuff. Same kind of thing with Thibodeau. I just feel like if you don't, if the word on the street is you don't really care about football or your motor's not that high, I'm just not that comfortable taking you top 10. On to Atlanta Falcons with the 8th pick in the first round.
8th pick in the first round with the Falcons. Okay.
They got Mariota.
They just brought in Mariota, yep. They're going to be missing Ridley this year, which hurts. So you're relying on your unicorn tight end in Kyle Pitts, who, like I said, can play, inside at tight end. He can move outside as a receiver. He's just built differently. But then you showed last year you solely rely on Cordero, and I think you can't do that, bro. And for this reason, boy, this board's shaking out differently, bro.
It's yeah, I know.
Guess what? I'm gonna stop the slide then, and Falcons.
Don't do it.
Falcons are going.
They wouldn't though.
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't. AJ Terrell allowed the least yards in the league.
But you also got him compared to AJ Terrell as well. So you're pairing up 2-star cornerbacks on the same defense. But ultimately, I'm honestly
it's your pick.
Honestly though, I'm torn between these two players, and
what's the need here? I don't have that on mine. It wasn't my team.
Well,
I ain't gonna interrupt you though. Go ahead. Well, while you think, last year Atlanta offensively was 26th in points, 29th in yards. Flip those numbers on the defensive side, 29th in points allowed, 26th in yards allowed. They need help everywhere. They got off of Matt Ryan this offseason. And like we said, they signed Mariota. They bring back Cordero. They bring back Jake Matthews. They definitely need help on both sides of the ball. So either way you go, I'm not going to really be mad at it.
The more I look at it, though, the fact I can't go this route, all right, I'm going to make the pick, and I'm going to pick Drake London.
Okay.
For the Falcons. The reason why I did that,
not mad.
I thought long and hard about going Jameson Williams, but the fact he probably won't, I feel like the Falcons want immediate help, and the fact that he won't be back probably at the earliest until November, you're stuck with kind of the same outcome on offense.
With this too, you got to think you lost Russell Gage, and who's going to pair best with Calvin Ridley next year?
And that would probably be London because they're two opposites on what they do. Right. Drake London, you got the prototypical big man who goes up, red zone threat, goes up and gets it. Size-wise, 6'4", 219, 20 years old.
More of a possession receiver?
Yeah, more of a possession. He doesn't got that speed in him. He's just
4.58, 40.
He's improved each year as well. I mean, 2021, 91.3 is his highest grade. Receiving grade of 91.8. 3.52 yards per route run. 65.4% contested catch rate, which is really good.
That's impressive.
And 87.4 grade versus man coverage. So he shows that he can go out there and bully a cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's gonna go up there and win the contested catch. So, 88 receptions on 119 targets. 1,084 yards, 12.3 yards per reception, 7 touchdowns last year. But the only knock is he's not going to run past the corners, you know. And the injury is a broken ankle in October.
Okay, broken ankle.
There's not much knocks on him besides the speed aspect of him, and I can't say as a receiver that I hate that, because if you got that size, I want to be able to have someone on my. I mean, you already got Kyle Pitts, obviously, but
you do make contested catches though at a high rate, which I do like. So the separation may not be as big of a factor.
Right, and I think when you pair and when you look at the future, you pair Ridley, Pitts, and London.
Sounds great.
That sounds unbelievable.
Pick 9, Seattle traded Mr. Let Him Cook for Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, all from Denver. They re-signed Disley, Penny, and the linebacker Nwosu. This team, I think they're looking to rebuild. Malik Willis, a question here. I thought about it. I'm not going to end up doing that, though. I think you go forward with Drew Lock for this year. I think he showed enough in this league where you can trust him as a bridge quarterback. And
right.
You're kind of in the same situation as these other teams, Carolina and Atlanta, where you don't really want to reach for one of these guys and have him be a flop, and then you're fucked for the next 5 years. Given that this team loves to run the football, given that I'm a running back at heart and in my past life, I would love to run behind this guy right here. Ike Ekwonu, offensive tackle, North Carolina State, 6'4", 320, just mean green fighting machine, man. There's nothing more that I like in the lineman outside of great technique than just being mean and just pushing people around, being a great run blocker, getting one guy on the ground, going to the next level, getting the next guy.
Yeah.
I think he's a perfect fit for this situation, for this scheme in Seattle. They run a 2 running back, 3 running back rotation. Probably going to end up being more with guys injured. Hopefully this guy can put an end to that.
Yeah, that's a perfect fit, honestly. I mean, you can't get much better than that. You solidify your O-line. You show that you're going in that direction. I mean, shoot, graded out as a 93.8 run blocking grade last year. I mean, that's elite, bro. And like they said, he's a mauler. He's nasty. He finishes everything he starts. So, I mean, giving up 3 sacks on 500 pass block snaps, he's shown he's capable of holding his own there. this is a great pick for Seattle. I can't hate on that at all. They also probably could have went Stingley, although it's not a. I mean, it's a need, but it's not like a dire need, I think. But hey, it is what it is. I think they got the best outcome in this position so far, though.
I'm glad you agree with me. I think he just fits, man. They never really got that protection for Russell towards the end of his stint there.
No, and their 2 starting tackles I think they're got right now on the roster, which I don't know their names. They're not starting caliber.
Right.
So you get a day one starter, and he's that cornerstone. You're gonna probably play him at left tackle.
You would think. Shit.
And you need to do everything you can to protect Drew Lock to make it the best outcome possible.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win situation for both sides.
Second pick for the New York Jets at number 10 in the draft.
Number 10. All right, this is an easy one. They already solidified their edge rush position on defense, and now they're heading back to offense, and they're grabbing Jamison Williams, wide receiver out of Alabama.
Okay.
I think he's 6'1", 179. He is an absolute take the top off the defense type receiver. I feel like he fits perfectly in what they want to do on offense. You got Corey Davis, your big-bodied receiver out there already. You got Elijah Moore, who you drafted last year in the second round, who's still obviously is coming into his own in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not, he's still going to be a focal point in the offense. The whole thing about Braxton Berrios though is he's not a solution in that slot.
He's in, yeah.
Or
Tyler Conklin.
I mean, you got Braxton Berrios and Elijah Moore. Both are smaller receivers.
Right.
So you ultimately want to, in my eyes, move Elijah Moore to the slot. Then you put Jamison Williams on the other side, and he just takes tops. He's that Tyreek Hill-esque receiver.
He's dynamic.
He can do everything. Last year, 516 pass snaps, 144 in the slot, 371 out wide. 78 receptions on 115 targets, 1,561 yards, 20 yards per reception, 15 touchdowns. And guess what?
That's the first down.
You don't
every
need,
time.
and because of the position you're in with 2 picks in the first round, you don't need Jameson to come in and be starting out the gate from day one. Let him heal up, come back mid-season maybe, and it just bolsters your future so much more.
And unlike Carolina, you don't have a coach on the hot seat.
Yeah,
and a new hire.
And you want to give Wilson as many weapons as possible to succeed.
Yeah.
I think he's coming into his second year, so he has to still prove that he deserves to be the starting quarterback, but he has the potential to be your long-term solution. This is going to be a team that, for a long time now, they've been trying to win games finally and be a threat in the NFL. So you hired the right coach in Robert Saleh, and now you got 2 picks this year in the first round, Kayvon Thibodeau and Jamison Williams, and I think that sets you up pretty damn good going forward.
To your Zach Wilson point, though, did you think about an offensive line at number 4?
With where I was on the board, I couldn't take an offensive lineman for them right then and there. I think you got Tyler Linderbaum as probably your next best guy. And he kind of, he's just kind of like Garrett Bradbury in a sense to me, where he's got the short arms.
Don't say that. I know how you feel about him around here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Jets are a team, they want to solidify the playmakers. Like,
the teams where you have 2 picks, you're definitely looking to make a splash, especially this high, 2 top 10s.
Yeah, and you look at, obviously they could use O-line help because, look, you got Mekhi Becton at left tackle.
Right.
Lincoln Tomlinson you brought in, great pickup. Connor McGovern at center, Elijah Vera Tucker at right guard, and George Fant at right tackle. So your O-line is not terrible. So I think you want to add as many of the playmakers as you can, especially early on. But this draft is also, you got potential O-line starters in the mid to late rounds still.
You do.
So grab the best player you think is available at the time and And for receiver, I had Jameson Williams as the best overall. Because if we're not, and like I was going to say earlier, and I saved it for him, if he doesn't tear
this up, man.
If he doesn't tear his ACL,
he's first receiver off the board.
He is easily.
Moving on to the number 11 pick, Washington Commanders, 7-10 last year. Traded for Carson Wentz, offensively, defensively, middle of the pack to bottom of the league, in those 4 categories we mentioned earlier. They signed J.D. McKissick, an offensive lineman, and Cornelius Lucas. Outside of that, nothing really. And with only 6 picks, and really 11 and 47 they're 2 picks of value. Everything else is after pick 100.
Mm-hmm.
You probably go best player available here, which is like what you were saying with your last pick. So I want to say Stingley, man, but Carson Wentz might need another weapon. Derek Stingley, top 5 potential.
Yeah.
I like him here. Washington needs help over there.
I mean,
I would love Terry McLaurin to have a running mate. I think he's the most underrated receiver in the league. And I just think he's the best player available. But fit-wise, I do think it is Olave.
It
pair
is.
him with McLaurin.
Yeah. I mean, you have the best of both worlds in that pick. I mean, you need kind of a... For me, ultimately, I think Drake London might be the most perfect fit for them at receiver.
It would be.
He's opposite. With Olave, you kind of get that same type of deal with McLaurin. I think on one side it might be CBS that Olave was his pro comp was Terry McLaurin.
He's so reliable.
But even if you have the 2 same type of players on the same offense, it's pick your poison. You know what I mean? Like. So I don't know.
What are we doing here? Are we doing Stingley or Olave here?
This is your pick, bro. You're just lucky we don't have a timer and you have to make it final.
Olave.
Olave. Okay.
I'll give you your Stingley.
I think you just did it because you didn't want us to have him.
I think he's the best player there, unless you're gonna argue it's.
But
Trey Walker.
But when you look at the team, so when you look at where is it? Commanders, they ultimately need a QB, wide receiver, safety, linebacker, tight end. I think they feel like they're set at cornerback.
Like I said, I do like Fuller and I do like William Jackson, so that's fine with me.
You know, the only
I'm
other
not taking the quarterback.
The only other thing I could have argued is in that situation, if they're not trading, you make an argument for probably Trayvon Walker.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, Trey Walker is arguably the next best player.
If he's got that much potential and you can unlock it, and you pair him with Young. What's his first name?
Chase.
Chase Young. That's a deadly duo right there.
12th pick, Minnesota. Do your thing.
I mean, shit. I didn't know since you had the switch up there. I didn't think it was gonna be possible, but I am going Derek Stingley. It's a team need. We all know we need to get better, and it's the perfect position for him to succeed because he's got LSU mentor Pat Pete as his mentor. I mean, you got all those question marks. What more could you ask for to bring him into a situation like that where he can learn from a fellow LSU Tiger and blossom that way? I mean, granted, a lot of it we're going off of that first year, his freshman year. 91.7 grade, 51.4 passer rating when targeted, 6 interceptions, 5 TDs. I mean, 92 targets, 608 yards given up, 34 receptions. It's
sick.
But his last 2 years are very, very questionable and underwhelming.
I heard some people say that was the best cornerback season ever in 19.
Yeah.
And then I look at Gardner's numbers, and it's just like...
Yeah, I don't get it. But I think it's...
Just because of the competition?
Yeah, I think it's based on competition. So, but, I mean, it's...
Keep the same shoes. Keep the same.
Yeah, it's just like Justin Jefferson, man. I mean, look, Pat P, Justin Jefferson, we got a whole family over here. So
Hunter, yeah.
We're LSU 2.0.
But guess what? You're not Alabama 2.0. And that's what we have 0.0 Super Bowls.
Well, you left them to us. I can't say much more, but Derek Stingley falls to the Vikings, and it's a dream come true.
Yep, it's a perfect scenario. 13, Houston, second of their 9 picks in this draft. Actually, second of their 11 picks in this draft. 5 out of the first 80 and 7 out of the first 110. So that's a lot of good value. And to pick up all these mid-tier players, you have a couple chances here to strike oil. 13. Gosh, I hate to do it because I want him to land to us because he would just be so fucking perfect with us. Number 3, I went with what? Can you remind me?
Number 3
is Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle Hamilton. Woo!
Trey Walker. To have maybe the 2 most dynamic guys in this draft, you can't be mad at this at all if you're a Houston fan. The guy was potentially talked up to be the number 1 pick, and Kyle Hamilton is by far the best safety, by far the most versatile player.
Yeah.
I mean, you're filling every need you have with the 20-plus moves you made this offseason and then getting 2 potential stars if you coach them up right. It's just you couldn't ask for a better situation.
And he's projected to go in the top 5. That's a dream scenario, and you double down. You didn't do much with the offense, obviously, but you doubled down on defense. And in my eyes, still defense wins championships. So,
my only concern with Trey Walker is I think I have 5 Georgia guys on my big board on the defensive side, potentially going in the first, and just the production. We know a college game really isn't for these guys to, showcase their one-on-one ability. It's really, all about the team and the coaching. But those guys usually stand out, especially if they have numbers like this, measurables like this. What is he? 6'5", 275, and a 4.51. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just would like to see more production, especially guys like Jordan Davis, Wyatt, Nakobe Dean. They're all right there in that front 7, so why his production wasn't the way I would think it would be, I don't know. I would just like to say, it's because he wasn't utilized the right way. And in the NFL, I mean, Houston isn't a franchise you trust.
Right.
J.J. Watt, D-Hop, Tyrann Mathieu, all these guys left. Deshaun Watson got traded. So Andre Johnson back in the day. So that doesn't make me very comfortable with him going here either, as opposed to him falling to 14.
Yeah.
We definitely develop players in Baltimore, so I'll definitely feel more comfortable with that. But Trey Walker, off potential and athleticism, surprise if all the 13, he's got to go here. Pick 14, Baltimore Ravens.
Your squad.
The one and only.
I think, I'm not going to do it because I don't think he's the best player in my eyes compared to the other. But I do see Jordan Davis being a Raven-type player where you guys can coach him, develop him, and he turns into a beast up the middle for you guys. But ultimately, I'm going Devontae Wyatt.
Okay.
The other interior D lineman for Georgia. I think 84 pass rush grade, 83.4 run defense grade, 91.1 overall. 4 sacks, 5 hits, 17 hurries, 2 batted balls. I mean, he's a very versatile defensive tackle. So there's not much you have to look at and be like questioning yourself about this pick.
I'm all about versatility as opposed to these one-dimensional specialist type guys.
And the only reason I might go Jordan Davis above Devontae Wyatt in this situation is because you did bring Michael Pierce back. You got Calais Campbell, obviously. You guys running 3-4. So Jordan Davis could be that beast of a developmental project for you guys' coaching staff who has – you might have the best developmental program in the whole NFL.
I would say we're up there, top 3.
So that would be the only reason. I think they would have to make Jordan Davis that pick if they see more potential than what Devontae already brings to the table.
I'm not mad at that. I think they have to go D-tackle. Both those guys we brought back are old. Probably got another.
And
left.
exactly. You're thinking about the future, so.
Yeah. Moving on to Philly, 15th pick, 9-8 last year, made the playoffs. Traded with the Saints in the first round to get another first round pick next year, to reduce their picks in this first round from 3 to 2, and upgrade the Saints from 1 to 2. They, this offseason, sign Hassan Reddick, bring back Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox, Derek Barnett, Boston Scott, and bring over Pascal as well. Offensively, middle of the pack last year, 12th in points, 14th in yards. Defensively, 18th in points, 10th in yards. So, pretty solid all around. Jalen Hurts has improved every year he's been in the league. Devontae Smith proved to be a good weapon last year. The run game picked up towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
Defense was okay, but did leave a little bit to be desired, I would say. Right here, not going to waste everybody's time. Need of linebacker, we're going to go Devin Lloyd, Utah. 6'3", 235. Not the fastest guy, 4'6", 640, but 35-inch vertical, 126 broad. So he does have a little bit of explosiveness. And in the passing league, coming from that conference he came from, we know he's able to cover some of those passing routes, crosses, corners, outs, all that kind of stuff, slants. So I think this would be a very beneficial pick to this linebacking core. Given that Reddick is more of a rusher anyway, I think that this is a need and a perfect fit for Philly.
Yeah, I agree. I don't remember last year they took a linebacker in the first round. I know it's been a while, quite some time. But you can't argue with 90.2 grade overall in 2021, 88.4 pass rush, 82 even for run defense, 90 tackles.
Wow.
18 assists, 14 missed tackles, and he played 14 games. So he played 14 games in 2021, 14 in 2019, and only 5 in 2020.
Okay.
Very solid overall linebacker. I mean, PFF lists him all-around linebacker. I mean, he does everything. Could probably improve on his tackling a little bit.
14 missed tackles isn't a great number.
No, I think that's the biggest thing he probably has to work on. But he is the best overall all-around linebacker in this class.
Agreed.
So that was a great pick. I think that's a route they need to go and possibly double down on that side of the ball.
With the team they traded with, New Orleans at 16, you're on the clock, sir.
Yes. And I am left stuck on what to do here. Man, oh man. Well, for me, since he fell to him, at number 16, some might say it's a reach, but I think with his nastiness and everything, they need a tackle. I'm going Trevor Penning out of UNI. They desperately, after Teron Armstead left, they need to solidify the O-line, and I think quarterback can wait. They got Jameis, who's capable of leading them to a win-now mode. You have to protect him, especially coming off that injury. And I think...
Only reason I don't think that's a stretch is because Philly's O-line is old, and the Chargers can potentially be looking for a tackle as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I think Trevor Penning, you look at his...
Is this the run blocker, the 99.9 rating? It said it right on that last page.
Run block, 99.9. And you look at his highlights from the Senior Bowl, and he was going up against Power 5 DNs, and he was demolishing them.
They were mad.
They were pissed.
They were mad.
He was living in their heads.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you want in a NFL lineman, like especially at the tackle spot.
Yeah.
Just a nasty talk shit, never give up until the whistle blows type player, and even sometimes past the whistle.
Yeah.
So, and I think he fits perfectly in the Saints organization because they have that, they're known for the bounties and they're known for the cheap shots. So you gotta.
They're not. They're known for a dynamic offense with Drew Brees and Sean Payton.
No, but I think they go Trevor Penning. I think he brings that tough nastiness to them, and they can still upgrade at a playmaking spot at the 19th pick.
My only concern is he is a great run blocker.
Mm-hmm.
How is his pass blocking grade? Can you tell me that really quick? Because it's a passing team.
Yep.
Although they do have a new coach in Dennis Allen, I wonder.
Pass block 87 and
Solid enough.
solid, but it's also against lower D1 talent. But like I said, Senior Bowl, he put enough on tape where against that type of talent that was down there, that obviously he's being pegged for the first round for a reason.
Pick 17, LA Chargers. They re-signed Williams, the receiver. They trade for Khalil Mack, and they bring over J.C. Jackson. One of the best off seasons. Definitely top 2 for teams that are in this first round that we're going to talk about, in my opinion. There's really no way you can beat that. Last year, offensively, top 5 in both points and yards. Defensively, struggled. 29th in points, 23rd in yards. A guy we talked about earlier, I think this is a no-brainer here. Big JD from Georgia, Jordan Davis.
All right.
6'6", what is he, 340, ran a 4.78.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
I mean, yeah, he's the only concern with him is obviously his conditioning. He's only averaged 25 snaps per game, which is, but if they can develop him, it shouldn't be that big of a concern because you already signed a couple guys in the offseason to plug the middle. You're thinking future here with him, and your rush defense has been putrid.
It's been terrible, and I like that he dropped from 360 to 340. And if he is only going to be used as a player on rundowns this year, or until he gets in shape, that's exactly what you need.
Exactly.
So first, second down, or at least first down, have him out there, and hopefully, if he's not in shape, you really can't play him. So that's why I'm hesitant on taking him, as well as his production at Georgia wasn't where I think it should be if you're this stature and you have these kind of numbers. But that's my only concern: conditioning and production.
Yep. That mine as well. But I think, and the thing is, he is such a popular fan vote in mock drafts to be landing here at 17 with the Chargers. So I think it's a match made in heaven on paper, at least, when you look at it.
It is.
Especially from a run defense perspective. I mean, they did everything this offseason to bolster that defense. It's a perfect fit and scenario. But
moving on to Philly with their second pick. 10 picks for Philly, 4 in the first 85, so they have a chance to make some really good moves here.
Yep. So here I'm going to stop the slide on this guy, and I'm going to go Trent McDuffie, cornerback. Cornerback out of Washington. I think, they doubled down on defense here, and they need help at D-back. The only concern with Trent McDuffie, he doesn't really got the length that you want, but he's the best zone corner in the class. I think the stat was that he's only played about 20-25% man coverage. So he's capable of it. He didn't allow any more than 39 yards in any game of last year, and only allowed 2 deep receptions in his career. I think people are arguing that he might be even the most pro-ready cornerback out of all the corners in this draft, which for me is kind of a stretch.
Who's arguing that?
But a lot of the analysts, I think
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's
because he's his own corner.
Yeah, and I think that allows your numbers to play out better.
For sure.
So
we've seen that.
That's my concern, and I've seen a couple pro comps for him as Jair.
Josh Norman.
Do you think Josh Norman?
For his own corner, Jair's a man-to-man guy.
Right, and I don't understand that. That was what I was getting at. Is I don't understand that pro comp.
Like Josh Norman was an elite zone guy in that scheme in was it Carolina?
Yeah. So he gave up,
and that's what it seems like he is as well.
Yeah. Last year, 11 games, 16 receptions on 36 targets, 111 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and a pass rating of 52 when targeted.
He's not bad.
He's been in the 80s for grade-wise overall from PFF the last 3 years.
See a lot of green. That's a good sign.
So it's solid. He's an overall solid guy, and
again in the Pac-12, a lot of passing. So
yeah.
That's also a good sign.
And he's a very good tackler, very willingness to tackle. 4.44 40, so he's got speed. But I think at this point in the draft, if you can get Devin Lloyd and Trent McDuffie, you're looking solid for your defense going forward.
Moving on to pick 19, New Orleans Saints, second pick in the first round. out of their 7 picks total and 3 in the top 50. I am really in the bad spot right here since you took offensive line at 16. That was very unexpected. I've been looking and looking, and the team need is tackle, which we grabbed, a wide receiver, or a quarterback. Now, we may get interesting here. Like you said, sign Jameis Winston. Malcolm Jenkins did retire. They did sign Marcus May, maybe to be that replacement there at the safety spot. Last year, they were 19th in points, 28th in yards offensively. Defensively, 4th in points, 7th in yards. I think if this team is going to go receiver here, which is a need, the best fit would probably be Sky Moore, which is a reach. And I can't put him there. But that's probably the best fit, right? I'm going to fucking go who I feel may be the best player available, Carl Loftus, man.
Okay. So, okay. Well, give your reasoning on that.
I just did. I think he's the best player available.
Okay.
I think Cam Jordan's getting up there in age. They did lose Hendrickson to the Cincinnati Bengals last year.
Yeah.
And he did help lead that defense to the Super Bowl. He did get after Matt Stafford in that game.
Yeah.
He was very beneficial to the Saints defense. With them losing a veteran like Jenkins on the back end, I think it's going to be more important for you to get pressure on the quarterback. And you can never have too many edges, too many ends, too many defensive linemen, too many linebackers, too many guys that can get after the quarterback. That's the most important position on the field. You have to try and rattle him, get him off of his game.
Okay.
Carl Loftus, let's see here, 6'2", 266. Now, numbers weren't great as far as speed. Ran a 4.71, but did have a 38-inch vertical and was 121 on the broad. So
yeah,
he is a little bit dynamic. I'm sure his stats were great in the Big Ten. These kind of linebackers, you know what you're going to get from them. Hard nose, put your hat on the hat, and get right in the mix with everything.
Yeah, 90.6 pass rush grade last year. That's really solid. Only 75.1 run defense grade. 12 games played, 5 sacks only, 14 hits, but 35 hurries. He's graded out great. I don't think they have him having like any tantalizing go-to moves, so he would need to work on his pass rush moves, whether it's bull rushing or whatever it may be. But
hey, if you couldn't tell, that was a little bit of a scramble pick for me.
Yeah, it was. Because it's not necessarily a need.
No, it's not.
So it's off. It's you know.
But Treylon Burks, I don't think fits with this offense.
Yeah.
Even though personally he is my favorite receiver in this class, but man, I think you do.
But you think Carl Loftus is better than Jermaine Johnson?
That was that was my other my other choice right there was Jermaine. Because I can't justify taking Sky Moore. I don't think Treylon fits. You took an offensive lineman. Malik, probably not the option here for me at 19. So Purdue, keep the same colors and just head on over to New Orleans.
Yeah, I feel it.
Pittsburgh Steelers, 20th pick.
Oh boy. Well, guess what? Who's Mike Tomlin? Who's Mike Tomlin in love with?
Malik.
So we stopped the quarterback fall.
This might be the longest one in history.
And if he doesn't, and if this is how it plays out, I think Pittsburgh has to go Malik. I think that's the right situation. He's very raw, has accuracy issues, but what he gives you with his legs, you can't find that much each year. So,
did you find a 40 time on him?
I didn't.
I saw 4.42, but then I saw that he never ran one, so I wasn't sure if that was accurate or not. But 6 foot 219.
Yep.
He does have good legs, strong arm, whip of an arm. Compared to Michael Vick, I heard. Interesting. I'd say more of a Aaron Brooks type. But the accuracy definitely does need improvement. My second favorite quarterback out of this draft class right here. He definitely does need a year to develop, maybe two. So
Yeah.
I think Trubisky is an okay bridge quarterback to have there, and maybe he develops ahead of schedule, and you're able to put him in later down the line in the season.
Yeah.
But if you could see the way that Mike Tomlin looked at this boy,
I think they might already have a great relationship. I think they're hoping and praying that this is the way it pans out, that he can fall to him. Otherwise, you're looking at needing one of those top tackles to fall to you, and that's not going to happen.
that's what I was going to say too, because Malik Willis is such an opposite style from Trubisky, who is such a similar style to Ben. You're going to have to change up a lot, but if you're gonna try and go forward with guys like Najee Harris,
Yeah.
who I think is good, and Chase Claypool, who a lot of people haven't given up on yet, I think Malik Willis is the right direction to go.
Yep. I agree.
Although, yeah, the offensive line was terrible last year, and they do need help.
Yeah.
Pick 21, New England, one of our arch rivals again. They bring back Trent Brown and Devin McCourty. They bring over Ty Montgomery, bring back Malcolm Butler, and they trade for wide receiver, big-time need, Devontae Parker. Probably the most underrated move of the offseason, in my opinion. I think I've always liked Devontae Parker. Big receiver, skilled receiver, good size, good speed, good hands, good route runner. I wouldn't say he's very elite at anything, but I think this was a very important pickup for Mac Jones. Last year, 6th in points scored, 15th in yards gained. Defensively was 2nd in points given up and 4th in yards allowed, so they were pretty solid over there, what you would expect from a Bill Belichick-led defense. They are getting old over there, and for that reason, I'm going to go Jermaine Johnson, edge out of Florida State here. I was debating this with maybe a cornerback, losing J.C. Jackson, and even a safety, but I don't think I can justify a safety going right here at 21. I definitely could see a cornerback, though, with the loss of J.C. Jackson to the Chargers. But I think they're getting really old. Dante Hightower and those guys in that middle there, so
Yeah.
I think this is a good replacement for him.
I like Jermaine Johnson. I think he's the 4th best
Edge player?
edge player in the draft, especially with Ajabo out. But I'm surprised because I see a lot of Nakobe Dean ending up in Belichick's system and saying that he really likes him.
Nakobe Dean, what can I say about this guy, man? Every time I watch Georgia, he was always around to play.
Yeah.
I think it scares a couple teams that he's 6 feet. It doesn't sound like New England's one of those teams, but he is a little guy. And to be that active around the ball all the time, I just think of like a Bob Sanders.
Yeah.
5'8" safety who gave his body up and didn't really last long. But when he did play, he was phenomenal. On Johnson, though, 6'5", 262, 4'5", 840. So he's a big guy who can fly as well, similar to Trayvon Walker. I'm sure his production was better, so I'm not sure why he didn't fly up the draft boards, but that's what I don't understand about this draft process, and that's why we're doing it this way.
Well,
Pick 22, one of your rivals.
Yeah.
Cheeseheads, baby.
And
Obviously, they bring back Rodgers, Campbell, Tunyon, Lazard, Preston Smith, and then they got Rasul Douglas as well. Where do you think they're going with this?
I think that based on losing Devontae, I mean, you signed Sammy Watkins, but you still need a receiver, and your fan base has been pounding the table for receiver for the longest time. I've been hearing more and more that they don't see maybe Treylon as a fit per se for them.
Are you taking my guy?
Huh?
Are you taking my guy?
I might be taking.
Oh, hell no.
I think that ultimately, man, I know. I just see that this guy comes in and helps Aaron Rodgers a lot more than Treylon can. And that would be George Pickens.
Okay.
From Georgia. 6'3", 195. Tore his ACL last spring. Came back for the last game of the season, but he has
made a great catch in that game.
You turn the tape on, and he has all the potential in the world to be a top flight wide receiver 1. And I think that's what you need for Aaron Rodgers and this offense going forward, especially losing Adams. You bring a guy in like this, starts day one. I think it's a no-brainer. I just think between him and Burks, Treylon has the size just like Burks does, but I think there's a lot of
Treylon is Burks.
You know what I mean, though.
Pickens?
Yeah, Pickens. Burks, he had, 85.8 grade in 2021. So, 1,100 yards. I mean, he's shown he's got that big body, number one receiver type. But when you talk about Arkansas versus Georgia and the team that they're coming from, I tend to lean towards the national champions. So,
fair enough. People are concerned with Treylon's 40 time as well.
Yeah, and I just think in LaFleur's offense, I think Pickens has the overall capability of forming to what he sees fit for that offense.
Yeah.
I think Rodgers would benefit a lot more from a guy like Pickens and his versatility. But because you don't have that dynamic number one in that offense yet. Sammy Watkins is your number two. And then I don't even know their depth chart that well for receiver, honestly, since Devontae's been gone, because that's the only guy I ever seen him throw to. Lazard, okay.
They lost Scantling to the Chiefs.
And then St. Brown,
they lost
Bears.
to the Bears. It's a surprise that they lost both of those guys after.
Yeah. And I think...
which really makes me think Rodgers is a tough guy to play with.
And I think because of the fact that, PFF lists, he needs to improve on his route running, and I think that's a huge thing with Aaron Rodgers. Knowing where to throw the ball. You have to be on the same page at all times, and he knew that inside and out with Devontae. Even if he ad-libbed, he knew where he was going to be. So, in that sense, I just think that Pickens lands above Burks in this spot for me.
Okay. Moving on to pick 23, Arizona Cardinals. They re-signed James Conner after he proved, he was a formidable back in that system. I think 18 touchdowns total last year, if I remember correctly. They re-signed Max Williams, and they bring back Zach Ertz as well.
Yeah.
Offensively, 11th in points scored, 8th in yards gained. Defensively, 11th in both points and yards. So, pretty solid in every area. Maybe you could argue middle of the pack defensively. Team needs for Arizona, offensive line, cornerback, defensive line, and I think wide receiver. I think you have to protect Kyler Murray, and you go center here. Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa, 6'2", 296. Some people think he's a little undersized, but if you're going to be in this offense, which is pretty much a college offense ran in the NFL, it doesn't really matter if you're going to be undersized. You're not going to run that much. You're going to be in a pass-happy offense that's a spread offense. I don't think this guy needs to be 6'4", 320 pounds like your typical center would be.
Right, so, and he's the highest graded FBS center in both 2020 and 2021.
Yep.
He's the best center prospect that PFF has seen in the college era. When you look at that, I mean, it's a no-brainer for them. So, and the fact that he's fallen this far, it's a steal.
It is, but center, like you were arguing safety, just isn't one of those premium needs.
Exactly.
I don't know why. Because you could argue it's just as important as left tackle.
Right. And I think if the draft shakes out a different way where there is a receiver, they're going receiver. Because, I mean, you have to...
I think they go receiver too.
Yeah.
I protect Kyler Murray's little ass.
Yeah.
But I don't like A.J. Green being my number 2.
Right. I don't either. And what I was reading the other day was A.J. Green had been talking to the media and saying that him and Kyler's communication was not where it needed to be. So if that doesn't fix itself, then they're in big trouble.
Big trouble.
So
Diop might be at a point where,
I mean, he's
not healthy
for
17 games a year anymore. So that's a big concern for this team. I didn't really see wide receiver being a need for them. 8 picks, 3 in the top 90.
Yeah.
1 at 55, 1 at 87. Maybe they package those and move up because there aren't a lot of holes in this team, and I think for teams like that, you can package those later picks
Yeah.
to teams that need to fill a lot. So I would be surprised to see, or I'd be interested to see what these guys end up doing. Or Dallas signing Malik Gallup, Dalton Schultz, and DeMarcus Lawrence, and then bringing over Dante Fowler and Malik Hooker. So not really any big moves in the free agency.
No.
Offensively, though, first in points, first in yards. Defensively, 7th in points, 19th in yards, though. So we know Trey Diggs did lead the league in interceptions, but was a gambler. Did give up a lot of yards. He is part of that 19th ranking.
Mm-hmm.
I think he gave up over 1,000 yards, actually.
Yep.
So not what you want in your defense, but they did find a diamond and maybe a generational player in Michael Parsons in the first round last year.
For sure.
Either the year before or the year before that, they did find another one, CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
And getting off of Amari Cooper and losing Cedric Wilson,
Yep.
is it, to Miami? He's definitely going to have to show that he's worth that first-round pick and he's valuable at being a number one receiver. What do you got Dallas doing here with the 24th pick?
Well, I think they like this guy a lot, and they need help in this spot to re-solidify this part of their team. So I'm going Zion Johnson,
Ooh.
guard, Boston College. I think Dallas has been known for their O-line play for quite some time, and they're going to keep rebuilding that because without an O-line, you can't do anything with all those playmakers you have.
You know, yeah. If he didn't go to Arizona, I think he would be a perfect fit for Dallas. Fucking
Linderbaum?
Yeah, Linderbaum, the center I just took.
Yep.
Because they lost Frederick.
Yeah.
And that would definitely help solidify that O-line. Smith is getting old. They just lost Lyle Collins to Cincinnati. So
Yeah.
I think this is definitely a position of need. And it's
Yeah.
really not the Dallas Cowboys, they want the flashy player.
Yeah.
So their fan base probably won't be too happy with it, but
No, and I could see them, especially in the way this draft. I was between him and I would have probably even taken Nakobe Dean.
mm-hmm.
I think if you pair him and Micah Parsons up,
They need a linebacker,
that would be solid.
they're talking
So-
about playing Micah down, especially since they lost Randy Gregory.
Yeah,
So having a linebacker is definitely a position of need as well.
and Nakobe falling this far, obviously, I mean, you can justify taking him over the lineman.
I'm not mad at that. Here, Buffalo 25. Off-season, signed Von Miller. That's really the big move. Other than that, they give Diggs an extension. Sign O.J. Howard and bring over Isaiah McKenzie. Offensively, 3rd in points, 5th in yards. Defensively, 1st in both from beginning to end. So
Yeah.
similar to how Georgia was in the college football season. 13 seconds away from going to the conference championship
Yeah.
in Cincinnati. I mean, everything lined up for this team to go to the Super Bowl except for that run game. Now, Singletary did show glimpses later in the year. This team doesn't run the ball a lot, though. And I think this is definitely a position of need for this team.
Okay.
But you know me. I got to leave a little suspense, man. I'm going to go opposite of Tre'Davious White, give him a little help. Go Kyer Elam, defensive back out of
Ooh, over Andrew Booth, huh?
out of Florida. Gator Chomp. 6'2",
Okay.
191. I just like the size more.
Yeah.
Booth probably is more ready, a little better, but they'll go close enough where I can justify taking Elam first.
Makes sense.
Somebody had him the 3rd ranked DB, I believe. It might
Elam?
Yeah. Somewhere I saw.
Okay.
Which is a little high for me, but
That was very, very high for me because with Elam, like, he's shown that he's capable of being that man shutdown corner. He's got the size. I think he's got a little bit of holes in his game though still.
He does.
But he's got the size that I absolutely love. I mean, that's 6'2", 191, and you can't coach that for a D-back. So that press coverage for him is where he excels. But he's gonna have a lot of penalties in the NFL. Kind of reminds me of Xavier Rhodes. Yeah. So that's a good pick. I don't mind it. I mean, it's either him or Andrew Booth. So,
I mean, for me, it's potentially Breece Hall as well. But
well, yeah,
DB for sure.
You could go that route as well. I forgot. These running backs are kind of like second train thought, like in this draft. So
they are. Moving on to pick 26, Tennessee Titans signed Robert Woods, Austin Hooper in the offseason, Harold Landry in the offseason, and they get their center in Jones. They bring him over. Offensively, middle of the pack, 15th in points, 17th in yards. Defensively, 6th in points, 12th in yards. Who you got here at 26?
26. Okay, so with the Titans, man, you could go receiver because you don't know what that contract's looking like or what you're going to do with A.J. Brown, but you could also help him out on the other side, just losing Julio. I think, oh, man, you need, especially with Derrick Henry in the backfield, you need an O-line, but where we're at in the draft, it's kind of hard to really.
What we have up? Raymond and Kenya Green.
Yeah, but I'm going to maybe shock a little bit.
Tyler Smith.
I'm going to shock a little bit probably. And I think I am going to go with the edge from Penn State. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but
I don't even have him on my big board.
Arnold Ebiketie. I'm reading more and more about him, especially he's a sleeper type pick for Mel Kiper, who really likes him in the first round, late first round. Mm-hmm. But I think between him and Boy Mafe at this point in the draft, you're kind of betting on who's going to excel more. I'm not saying I'm a fan of this guy over Mafe, but
I'm shocked. I really thought.
Big Ten guy, I mean, he graded out 88.4 in 2021, 90.5 pass rush grade, 78.3 run defense grade, 8 sacks, 12 hits, 32 hurries, 1 batted ball.
What was his production while Micah Parsons was there?
2020 or 2020 or 2019? I can't remember.
19. He sat out his last year.
So 19, he played 10 games, graded out overall 77.8, 2 sacks, 2 hits, 2 hurries. Let's see, what was he this year? Redshirt senior, so he's on the older side, 6'2", 250.
Okay.
But I think he's got the makeup to have a lot of potential. All-around edge player.
Wow.
A little bit, obviously, limited when you're looking at where he's coming from, but when you're at this point in the draft and you're looking at...
The Titans' window is over. You heard it here first. To get off of Julio and to potentially be losing A.J. Brown, I thought Traylon Burks was the obvious pick here.
Burks kind of makes me nervous, but he is a solid player. I can't say he's not. But then you look at it, you got A.J. Brown, and you got...
You might not, though. You don't have Julio.
Right, but at the same time, if you do, you're pairing up almost 2 of the same players.
But that's kind of what they do, though. When they drafted Corey Davis, they've always had those big kind of guys.
Yeah, but you kind of, in my eyes, you kind of got to get away from that because it's not really working.
That's their whole identity. I mean, they were the first team in the AFC last year.
Right, but
Tannehill's poop.
What was their defensive rankings again?
They were 6th in points, 12th in yards.
Okay. You can still shore up the defense, though, I think. Like I said, I mean,
you can always shore up the defense. I picked the DB for Buffalo. They were first in everything last year.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, bringing back Gio Bernard, Lenny Fournette, bringing over Shaq Mason and Russell Gage, tagging Chris Godwin, and re-signing Carlton Davis. Bringing over / signing 3 offensive linemen as well to help protect Tom Brady. I think that's very important. Last year, 2nd in points, 2nd in yards offensively. Defensively, 5th in points, 13th in yards. The guy I was going to take here, you had him going to Dallas and Zion Johnson. But the more I was thinking about it during these last 2 picks, they did sign 3 offensive linemen in the offseason. I think that along with Tristan Wirfs, bringing back your center, it's going to be good enough. Tom isn't the guy who holds onto the ball. He doesn't need the best offensive line in the world. I am concerned about the secondary here. So for me, I'm going to go Andrew Booth Jr., cornerback out of Clemson.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a bad pick. And at this point in the draft, you can't, based on team needs, you can't reach for a interior D lineman to pair with Vita Vea.
No, you can't. And I'm not sure if they brought Sue back or not, but.
And you look at what do you got? Winfield Jr.
Yep.
Who's the other D-backs that they have out there right now?
I couldn't tell you, and that's where I'm going. Andrew Booth Jr.
Okay. Now that we're back to Green Bay, at pick 28.
That we are.
It's not out of the question that they could double down on wide receiver, but I don't see it happening because that's not the Packer way.
Definitely not the Packer way, no.
So with this, I'm going with more of, you need help on the O-line, and I think I'm going to maybe reach a little, but he's kind of a sleeper pick, and in this sense, I'm going with tackle Tyler Smith out of Tulsa.
Okay.
They're solidifying more of that O-line that they need, and 6'5", 324, redshirt sophomore, 21 years old. One of the best run blockers in the draft by far, 93.9 run block grade. Only a 75.3 pass block grade, so that's kind of concerning. But on 446 pass block snaps this year, gave up 2 sacks, 2 hits, 5 hurries, so it's not terrible. So I think with him, he is a sleeper. I think at this late in the draft, I think we have Bernard Ramin falling.
Bernhard
Rayman or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I apologize. He's only been, a tackle for 3 years since.
Used to be a tight end.
Yeah. So
that tells me that you have probably good feet and you can move a little bit, but it concerns me about your hand placement and everything that involves being a tackle.
So I think I think Tyler Smith at this point would probably be the best tackle left on the board. So
I hear you.
In that case, they go there and they get their top receiver on the board and top tackle left on the board.
Here at 29 for the Kansas City Chiefs, I think you're going to take the guy I'm not going to take, so I'm not going to take him. They get Ronald Jones, Corey Coleman, Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdez-Scantling in the offseason, so kind of getting away from the speedy receivers, bringing in bigger, more possession receivers. Maybe they're looking towards switching over their offense a little bit.
Okay.
They franchised Orlando Brown, their offensive tackle, and they retained Frank Clark. So defense will be okay on the front line with Chris Jones and Frank Clark up there. You can fill in those pieces later in the draft. You have 12 picks in this draft and 5 in the top 100 as the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't think you have 12 spots that need to be filled, so I think you can package a couple of these picks and move up to get more positions of need.
Yep.
And for my first pick at 29, I am going to go. I like Daxton Hill, bro.
Daxton Hill, yeah, he's a solid pick.
I like Daxton Hill here.
All right.
Safety.
Yep.
Out of Michigan. 6'2", 192, ran a 4.3, 840, and in high school, he's said to have a 43-plus inch vertical. So this guy is explosive. The more I read up about him, heard about him, watched him, the more I liked him. And
276 career tackles in high school.
At safety, that's not bad.
So, I think he's another sleeper. I know he's high on Kuiper's board.
Okay.
And he even has him going in the teens in his mock draft with McShay, I think. So I don't think it's much of a reach here when you're talking about basing it off draft analysis. You hit on the defensive back part for the Chiefs. So at 30, I'm looking at the board.
You can do it.
And
little man.
But that's the thing, dude.
You're not gonna do it. So if I took N'Kobe at 29, who would you have taken at 30?
Oh, N'Kobe Dean?
Yeah.
I'm not sure because I don't know if I would have taken Daxton Hill at 29. I don't know. My mind is not there, so I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what I'm doing now.
For this 30th pick, are you looking?
But you
maybe
need
Sky Moore.
You need help on offense.
Tyreek replacement, maybe.
On PFF, Sky Moore is the next best ranked receiver.
Are you looking at running back? Because I'm looking at running back here too potentially. I love Kenneth Walker. He's going to be the steal of the draft, in my opinion. Him, John Mechie, George Pickens, and Tyler Smith.
And I think
I know what you're doing. Second most light-skinned name on the board behind Drake London.
You think I'm going there? Yeah, well, that's almost the next best player available. So I don't know if I really like Sky Moore though. That's my issue with this whole thing. But because the other receivers haven't fallen that way,
I'm surprised you didn't take Traylon at 26 still. He don't fit here.
no. Though with my 26th pick of Arnold Ebiketie or whatever, however you pronounce his name, it's not like it's the weirdest thing you've ever seen happen in a draft.
I've seen Jamarcus Russell go number 1.
So, like, even though Traylon's falling, I think he'll still fall into a good situation. But, yeah, I'll take Sky Moore here because he's just the next best receiver ranked. Not sure I'm a fan, but he's very shifty. I don't know his 40 time that he ran. He's only 5'10", 195, which...
4'4", 140.
Okay, so yeah. I mean, he's got the speed. You lose Tyreek Hill, which you need that elite playmaking ability back there. 94 catches on 125 targets, 1,291 yards, 13 yards, for almost 14 yards per catch, 10 TDs. So it's not, but it's not also not against great talent. So... But he's they say he's polished, so I mean you put him in a Andy Reid offense, I mean you can excel. So
Corey Coleman, receiver out of Baylor, correct? Got drafted by the Browns.
Yep.
So you bring over 3 receivers in the offseason. You still want to go that direction when your defense is losing. Matthew Sorensen is no good. Your DBs are no good. You feel comfortable with that? Your linebackers are no names.
Talking about Chiefs?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't go.
You already clicked it.
I know. I'm not.
It's a done deal.
Yeah, it's a done deal. I went Sky Moore because I think they ultimately do go somehow receiver. They're getting a receiver.
Okay.
And they're gonna do. I even think they could take an edge rusher here, where I could have went Boy Mafe.
I like that pick there. Let's finish these last 2 out. Cincinnati, division rival. Brought over Hayden Hurst, Lyle Collins, Alex Kappa, B.J. Hill, Ted Karras, signed Eli Apple, and tagged Jesse Bates. So did a lot to solidify that O-line to help out Joe Burrow this offseason.
Yeah.
We saw, throughout the whole playoffs, that was a big issue for that team. I think he actually ended up hurting his knee in one of those games as well. Offensively, they ranked 7th in points, 13th in yards. Defensively, 17th in points, 18th in yards. A guy I liked at 29 for Kansas City is the guy I like at 31 right here for Cincinnati. I know a lot of people are mocking offensive linemen, but you have 3-4 new offensive linemen on your team in the offseason. So I'm going to go Louis Cine. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Safety out of Georgia, 6'2", 199, 4'3", 40, 36.5-inch vertical.
Yeah.
133 on the broad. Like a lot of these Georgia guys, didn't really hear about them too much if your name wasn't Jordan Davis or Nakobe Dean. So production's always a question, but measurables are good. You're on the best defense in the country. Outside of offensive line, I don't think there's really much of a need anywhere else for this team right here.
I agree. With the way this is shaken out, there's no guard center interior lineman left to give that pick to. So, yeah, and I like him a lot. So I don't have much to say about that pick. I mean, you pair him in that back end of the defense, you should be set.
Take us home then. 32.
32 with the Lions. So, the way other mock drafts are shaking out, it's usually been a quarterback here. But in this case, they got Ahmad Sauce Gardner with number 2 in this draft. And I think they keep solidifying that defense. So I'm going to Nakobe Dean here for the Lions.
You did it. Not my fate, huh?
I think the way this is shaking out, I think Nakobe Dean still deserves a first-round pick. And when you get him for the Lions, Yeah, he might be smaller, but they don't have anyone as a linebacker really.
No.
So
and their defense is always ass.
Yeah, so
I think that's a definite need.
You shore up that defense with 2 solid picks in the first round, and you should be set. And then you pick again, 34? Guess what? You can pick Ritter there. You can pick
Desmond
Pickett.
Ridder,
You use this pick on a surefire day one starter on your team and defense.
The potential best player in Ahmad Gardner and potentially the most productive player in Nakobe Dean. If you're Detroit, you're walking away really happy, and you might have outdid me with Houston.
Yeah.
And got me with 2 better players.
Yeah. So that was a no-brainer with that last pick. I mean, you're not going to let him. I mean, I don't know who's picking 33, honestly.
Jacksonville.
So, and they could go there too.
See, Jacksonville at 33 is tough. I think the second round is interesting too.
Yeah, this draft is going to be one of the most unpredictable drafts in recent memory. But I think once we get past the first round, I think the second through
it's going to be bananas.
It's going to be fun. This is going to be a fun ultimate draft to sit down and watch.
It will be.
So when we come back next, I think Friday, and revisit this, it's going to be very fun and interesting to go over the pick and kind of give our reasonings, like why we ultimately think they went the route they did, and see what trades happened and whatnot. So I'm excited. I mean, we know this is not how it's going to look.
Oh no.
So this is kind of entertainment purposes. So
I had a couple sleepers I mentioned already: Tyler Smith, George Pickens, Kenneth Walker, John Mechie. Then I also like Breece Hall. It's the running back in me.
Yep.
Do you have any sleepers that you like out of this draft?
So I liked
the guy you took from Penn State, obviously.
Yeah. Then Kuiper sold me on him, really, because
I think Ajobo's a sleeper as well for me.
And he could say, and I couldn't really argue if he goes in the late first round. I couldn't argue that because you should know what you're getting when he comes back healthy. If he does come back fully healthy and the same as he was, I mean, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with on the edge. So, but I do like Tyler Smith. I mean, I picked him for the Packers. So, other than that, I was almost tempted to take Mechie instead of Sky Moore. Honestly,
he was.
I think,
in my opinion,
coming from
he was our Jerry Jeudy, and Williams was our Devontae Smith.
Yeah, so
I like Mechie a lot.
Mechie, and I trust him coming from Alabama more than I do Sky Moore coming from Western Michigan.
Greg Jennings.
So, Corey Davis. But
he's a different kind of receiver.
I have a hard time with the smaller receivers because you never know how they're going to pan out. And like you mentioned before we got on here, the 5'8", I got to look his name up because I don't know it, but the 5'8" receiver from Memphis, Calvin Austin.
Yes, Calvin Austin.
5'8", 170. So he's a sleeper, gadget player, impressive testing numbers. I mean, I don't know much about him because I didn't, we'll never watch the tape, whatever, but I'm very intrigued, honestly. If we don't go, I like Justin Ross. Mm-hmm. I think the 6'4", he's big play type. He just has a very extensive injury history, and he didn't notch, a 1,000-yard season since his first year, and there's question marks.
George Pickens-esque.
Yeah.
Very productive your freshman year.
Justin Ross being ranked much lower than George Pickens, it kind of shows you like there's major red flags there. So it's an intriguing.
I think part of that is the quarterback situation there.
Yeah, it could be
this year, anyways.
Yeah. And I would love, honestly, and I would love Justin Ross as like a Vikings third-round pick if we don't go like surprise people and go that route in the first round.
Right.
So I that's why I say Justin Ross, because I've seen him kind of linked to us, and that intrigues me, especially 6'4", 205. I mean, shoot, like the only thing about that is I would rather have a player like Jameson Williams because he can take the top off the defense, and we don't necessarily have that type of guy. I mean, you got Justin Jefferson as your ex-receiver, so, he does it all, but he doesn't blow the roof off, those defenses where he's just flying by everyone. He's fast, but he's just your prototypical, I can go get whatever you throw to me. Mm-hmm. And then Adam Thielen.
That's my favorite kind of receiver.
Mine too. But I think I'm not sold. I not love, but I really like KJ Osborne. I think he's very solid. But I would like to upgrade there, especially if Thielen is going to be coming to an end.
Getting older, ankle injuries. Yeah. You know, I wanted to hate on Thielen for obvious reasons because I hate the number 19. That motherfucker's good, dude.
Yeah.
His feet, his hands, phenomenal.
He's fun to watch. I mean, he just goes out there and balls. You can't, like, he just, I mean.
But I can hate on BB instead.
Yeah. I'm excited. I can't say much else besides I'm excited for the draft to come and to finally get on here next Friday and, like, just go over everything.
Yeah.
And kind of give our take on what we think of each team's picks. That's going to be fun for me because obviously there's so many mock drafts out there these days when it comes to this time of the year. But I'm excited, and I think it's going to be a fun, interesting Thursday come next week.
Yes, sir, man. We did it, man. The first GriddyIron gang mock draft.
Yeah.
You know, with our little twist on it. We always try to be a little bit different, so this was definitely fun, man. How long we been here, man? 2 hours doing this shit? That's about what I thought it would take.
Yep.
That was a good time, man. That was fun. Until next time.
All right, bro.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.